from 16 years old to 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You've had to learn the good, bad, and the ugly of human behavior, even just in terms of scaling your small business.
So I started this business at 16. Father made the LLC for me. Shout out to you, Dad. When I turned 18, that's when you could legally own a business. So we transferred in my name. At 18 years old, that's when I graduated high school. I went into the real world. People don't take you serious at a young age. You know, it's something very difficult.
And it's something that you're just going to have, it's just going to keep evolving.
People try to take advantage of you. People try to run you over. I have clients try to, like, you know, rich, powerful guys like, oh, well, you're lucky to be detailing my cars. I want a discount. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. I don't care who you are. I don't care. You think I'm a young kid. I'm not stupid. You know, it's a shame. I tell them, I look up to be like you. And you would think because I'm a young kid, you would want to support me.
That's not necessarily the fault.
You got the money.
As you got the money, you want to be a...
You spent $300,000 on a car. You can spend a few $100s on a detail.
Yeah. I've always said this. Manners doesn't cost anything. Like Ron with the armadillo?
Yeah.
I thought we killed a gopher. And I looked at the side view mirror. I was like, oh, he was just walking around. I was like, okay. I was expecting like blowing chunks underneath the car. I was like, oh, it's a Schwick show for a reason. So, hello everybody. I'm Shari Schwick of Schwick Wheels coming at you from Behind the Wheels podcast at Shay Schwick. I have Uncle Billy to my left.
Hey, how you doing?
And we're very happy and excited to welcome our guest today, Lyle MalDog of MalDog Mobile Detailing.
What's up, guys? How are you? How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? Seems like the vibe over here.
Pepperoni with that cheese?
So, Lyle, tell us a little bit about getting into detailing, mobile detailing, and just a little bit about yourself.
So, first off, I've started my business when I was 16 years old in high school. I'm 23 now, so that's the time frame. Growing up, I always looked up to people like you. I just wanted to know people like you guys. Well, the way when I say that is, the places you're at now.
Sure.
You know, financially, like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with cars. There's this guy when I was in middle school. I got Instagram. There's this guy named Brian Solomon. You know Team Solomon?
Of course.
So you know how people are like praise celebrities or like, I don't know, they love actors. My celebrity was that guy.
And Brian Salome does not disappoint. Like when they say don't meet your heroes, you have to meet Brian Salome because he is a wonderful individual and he is the coolest cat. Of Lambos.
Well, he's the reason why I have everything today.
No kidding.
So long story short, I saw this guy on Instagram. I was obsessed with the Lamborghini Aventador when it came out.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to see one of those things. And then he popped up. He had a chrome one.
I was going to say, is this when he had the chrome? This is when he had
the first chrome gold SV Roadster, like when it first dropped.
Yes.
And I was like, I got to meet this guy.
Yes.
So my parents drove me down to Washington, D.C. for the Gold Rush Rally.
Okay.
So I saw him and I saw he was doing this event called Gold Rush Rally. And I was like, that looks sick. Like, that's the life.
That's bananas.
Driving supercars across the country. Long story short, I get to meet this guy. I was like fanboying when I met him.
Of course.
And then turns out he's just a regular guy.
He's awesome.
Awesome, but regular guy. And then,
his wife is also very cool. They're very
concubine?
Yes. Yeah.
Very
Can you imagine your wife being named concubine?
Hold on. He's not a wife. She's a concubine. He's a divorce lawyer. Biggest advice he told me, don't get married.
Oh, shoot.
Well, he's his number one divorce attorney in New York. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
But I just couldn't believe that he spoke to her in that way.
He puts on a whole show. They're very
amazing together.
Guy.
Yeah.
But long story short, I met him. Very nice guy. He took me for my first Lamborghini ride, like up in a show in Glen Cove. Drove me around the little show in Glen Cove, and that day changed my life forever. I've never rode in a Lambo. I've been obsessed. Like I would freak out just to see one. Because I was going to say,
you're a big Lambo guy. I mean, like, you take care of everybody, but, like, at the end of the day, what you like to talk and finish about is
Lambo. But then, he gave me my first ride. I was, like, so thankful. Then he started inviting me out to events. Long story short, I started going to car shows and Cars and Coffees. I learned what that was. And I used to, as a kid, 15, 16 years old, I think I'm going to tie into a whole nother thing real quick.
That's fine.
Anthony Morelli.
Of course.
Me and him, we met at car shows, and that's how we both got into where we are.
So you basically started at the same time, because I was saying we've had a bunch of like beginner, like 16, 17-year-olds who are now in their mid to late 20s and 30s in this car. So you are that same era with Anthony Morelli.
Yeah, so Anthony
That's
Morelli,
so funny.
he did another podcast with him. That's why I swiped up on his story. I'm like, yo, let me get on this podcast. But anywho, me and him, we're both heavily involved in the exotic car scene. So back to what I was saying, I used to go car shows. I used to go up to Lamborghini owners and be like, or any exotic car. I used to want to just sit in the cars or go for a ride. I would go ask like Lambo guys, like complete strangers, like, can you take me for a ride in your car? And then like I'm like 14, 15.
Yeah.
So some
Don't
of them
tell your mom. Yeah.
Well, my parents, they would talk to my parents, ask permission, and then I would get a million no's, and like it would crush my heart as a little kid.
Of course.
I just want to, just even to sit in the car. I just want to push that start button.
Yes.
And I met this one guy. His name is Joel. Joel, if you're watching, shout out to you. I used to do videography and photography, and then I made some cool videos, and he took me for a ride in the Huracan when it first dropped.
Nice. So we're talking like 2016?
Yeah, around that
Okay.
time. And then, long story short, I was like, listen, there was all these rallies like PCNY. They did the turkey drive. I sent him a flyer. I'm like, could I be your co-pilot? Is that cool? And he's like, sure, why not? He obviously spoke to my parents. You know, no real parent's gonna let a kid just hop in with the
I would not think so.
yeah,
but you
just
never
hop
know.
in
No
some
judgment.
guy's car. But long story short, I started being his co-pilot around 15, 16 years old. We would go on these supercar rallies, and then that's when my world changed.
Yeah.
A supercar rally, it's not like these cars and coffees where the public is mixed in. It's literally like it's a private event, only supercar owners, and I'm like, holy cow! I'm with
You're
the cool
big,
kids.
yeah,
the
you're with the big
boys.
boy toys and all that stuff. Yeah.
And then everyone thought I was this kid, and I was like, no, I'm just riding passenger. And me going from asking everyone for a ride, I just wanted to start networking. I was like, I used to dream.
So how did the washing of the cars and the detailing?
So I'm gonna get to that.
Oh,
Sorry, it's a
okay.
little long story. I said I was gonna keep it short, but so I was in high school and I sucked at school, and I learned that he dropped out of school when he didn't finish high school, and then I was like, how are you a millionaire? You know, obviously this guy's a multimillionaire, and then he's like, you know what? It's not about going to school. You just gotta work hard in life. Do what you love. He said, he told me, he's like, you like cars so much, why don't you learn how to detail them? And there's this guy named Shaq, Nick's Professional Touch. Shout out to you, Shaq. He's launching a course on how to start your own mobile detailing company. And I took it. And with the network I had from being 16 going to all these rallies, I became cool with all these guys and that network. And I started my business, and it just took off from there.
This is pretty outstanding because you and I have this, this approach to car culture world where, we've always talked about you just don't know who the next kid is that's asking to get into your car and start your car. So what's that like for you to listen to? Like it all started with this dream of this kid.
And that's what I do at car shows. I let the young kids go in my car, and all these guys are walking around with rags all day at car shows. And the car's locked. Windows are up. Can't see inside of them. Some of them are tinted.
Mm-hmm.
The car's not meant to be that way. The car's meant to be driven. It's meant to be experienced.
You have to share these things, and that's something I aspire. Like when my dream car, I want that SV Roadster. Everybody goes crazy when you pull up to that car
We
show.
have
with
this
the
in common that I
Yeah.
also want like an Ultimate Roadster or a CV.
I feel like Aventador is
SV
ultimate car. But
course.
But I feel like I remember obviously my buddy Joel, he upgraded from Huracan to Aventador. People like freak out. They think you're a celebrity in that car. And you know what? He gives me the keys, like, bro, let anyone sit in it. And I feel like I own the car when I'm with him. He gives me the keys, and you know what? I see kids, and I'm like, that reminds me of me.
Yeah.
And there's some kids I met in New York City. I detail cars in the street of Manhattan. I have a STO by myself. The owner, he's like, if you see any kids, like I met these car spotters that you remind me of me.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I give them the key. Obviously, I let the client know who these kids are, what they want to do, and I pass it on. And I feel like that's what you have to do.
I know a little bit about you, Lyle, because we've gotten to have a nice pre-interview phone conversation. I want to go back to a different story where we meet you, even though you may not remember this, because it took me a second to remember this too. We meet you
I noticed what you're doing at an R2R rally. I believe it's what it was.
Oh wait, this was like the first R2R.
No. This is
Are you
2020.
talking about the one in Manhattan where
Correct.
we
We
downtown?
did tunnels. And I learned how to drive the McLaren 720S during an R2R rally.
Really?
Can you imagine? I know you have a McLaren story about the first time you drove a McLaren.
Oh, first time I
I know
drove
this. Tell everybody the punchline.
So I drove the second car I ever learned how to drive was a McLaren 570S when it first dropped. I had my permit actually. I didn't even have my license at the time. I had this
Crazy, bro.
this guy in my high school. I was in an entrepreneurship class.
Good.
I invited a guest speaker, which was one of my friends from the car rallies.
Okay.
Big day trader, shout out Umar Ashraf. I had this crazy idea. I used to watch JR Garage. This
Yep.
kid drove a Ferrari to high
Yes.
school at 16. So he came in the McLaren. I'm like, yo, can I drive this thing? And we filmed it. And he's like, sure, I'll let you drive it. Drove it to high school. Second car I ever
my
drove.
God.
I hit 1.2 million on YouTube with it.
Oh my gosh. Driving a McLaren is not an easy thing to master. There's a lot of like electronic things that could go really, really wrong.
So second car, I mean, me, I've been a very confident driver since I even started driving. Like I
But come on, 16 years old behind the wheel of
you know
a
what's
McLaren.
crazy? Everyone's like, were you scared? I was like, no. I was like, I drove this thing in Forza a million times. And then he's like, oh, you're shifting it now? I was like, yeah, it's like, I've been playing video car games like for like Forza. He's like, you already know how to shift this
Listen,
thing?
if VR is good enough for the military,
Yeah.
it's good enough to drive an exotic
But
car.
no, McLaren, I mean, nothing drives like those things. The 570, it's like a go-kart. Those turbos kick in, just takes off.
So is there, when you are getting a call to do a mobile detailing job, you know, and you're figuring out what type of model that you have, like, is there something that's going through your mind, or like when you're approaching the car, like whether you have a McLaren, a Lambo, a Ferrari, like, are you approaching these cars differently?
We treat every car the same.
Sure.
We go over everything, make sure there's no damage. Now, they do get treated a little bit special. We look at the front ends of these things. I ask them, are these cars rally driven or garage kept? Because all the rally cars, there's always cracked windshields or
No
like
kidding.
little stone chips that I'm sure in your cars, you probably get stone chips after
We've
driving.
replaced a few windshields in our day, haven't we, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a big liability thing. So I go thoroughly through the car, and I've had clients try to blame stuff on us. And obviously we have the right insurances and all that. But you just really got to watch your back when working on these high-end cars, because I've had a few clients try to be like, oh, well, that wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, anything could go wrong in this
Now
business.
you check it and acknowledge them that this is what's wrong with the car before you even do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing like that.
So you make them
360.
aware of what's wrong if you see something out of
course.
character. Yeah.
Even the McLaren, you know, Ferraris, we do the engine bays. You could spray water, not too. We don't power wash in the engine bay, but you
Yeah.
could get water gets in there. I make sure there's no check engine lights, nothing.
Well,
you
I
know.
mean, that's definitely worth talking about, because it's been getting a little bit crazy. I mean, the designs that are coming out are gorgeous. When we're talking about mid engines, exposed engines, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Rialto being like a hybrid totally exposed engine in the back. I mean, this comes with some great sensitivity.
I ask him, Ferrari guys, I'm like, did you plug in your car? Has it been plugged in? So sometimes like brand new Pearl Sangue, right?
Okay.
$500,000 Ferrari truck. Car, we have the doors open to vacuum it. Car dies.
Yes.
And we're just like, you can't jump the thing.
No, you can't.
And so this is a high-end client. He had one of the first ones here
Yes.
in the East Coast. Had to call Miller Motor Cars, come jump the car. And then I told him, he was obviously upset. I'm like, well, you got to charge these things.
And I think we're all learning this conversation. I think it's just going to keep coming up
Exactly.
and up and up, because everyone's experiencing them for the first time. But this hybrid conversation, like none of us, even as owners, feel ready for like the passive alarm door system. Like part of our issue with having hybrid exotic cars is just the battery drain, and then like
It's
your doors.
annoying. It's
pretty
very
intense.
inconvenient. You know, I mean, I have a few clients that have Revueltos. Obviously, you guys had one. They had issues, this, that.
Yeah.
To be honest,
especially first gen.
I'm not into all these, like, I get the hybrid systems. I'm not going to hate on it. But you
Yeah.
know what? My era of supercars, I like 08 to 2021.
Solid.
21.
Solid.
The cars were more analog.
Solid.
I like for me, I'll put a Aventador over a Revuelto. Everyone hates the single clutch.
Agreed.
I love it. It's a driving emotion, you know?
I agree with you
The
100%.
Revolt, we gave ours back.
We did. I mean, not that we want to hurt anybody's sales production on that, but I mean, to really enjoy the Rivolto, you had to be in course of performance. And what's course of performance? A full V12 fuel engine experience.
It doesn't have the same effect as.
Yeah.
We had a chance.
You're not
to
buying
buy,
a Rivolto to drive it up-
Aventador Ultimate in Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you should look into one of those.
You know what?
One day.
She wants an SVJ, so
No, I don't. You want the SVJ. I want an Ultimate Roadster.
that's what I want.
I take the SV. You
Right.
So
Well,
what's
the
the
problem with those cars is a lot of them come in coupes. To get a Roadster, you're at a number that you don't even want to
But before you keep moving,
up there.
Well, you know what?
900,000
for what? SV? Oh, SVJ.
An SVJ Roadster is insane right now.
oh, of course.
And then Ultimate's a couple hundred grand.
750.
I like, but back to like the whole hybrid situation. Nobody is buying a Rivolto, a V12, to drive it in Cheetah in full electric mode.
No.
Nobody's buying that car to be in Cheetah.
You know why? They're competing with the brands. It's about the brands.
I think
Everyone's
so.
doing the hybrid thing. And me and my friends, we talk about all the exotic car brands. It's like Ferrari's lost its roots, in our opinion. It's like everyone's losing its roots.
You said it. I get called the Ferrari hater online, but you said it. Say it again.
You know what? You know what's crazy? Ferrari, like I'm a Lambo guy, but Ferrari's my number 2. Like
course.
it goes from my 2 dream cars: SV Roadster, 458 Speciale,
100%. Absolutely. Every day of the week.
SF9. I've been blessed to drive every exotic car you could dream of, even some hyper cars.
Yes.
Nothing drives like it used to. You know what? These cars are getting faster, but they're getting soulless.
And they're getting heavier. So it might be going.
battery.
The last time
The
I
battery.
checked, exactly. The last time I checked, none of us are just drag racing our cars in a quarter mile. Like we're handling, we're doing country roads, we're doing rallies, we're doing cruises. Like I need a lot of sharpness. I need to take my turns the way I want to take my turns. Yeah, I can. These things are heavy.
Well, you're talking to a guy that loves Aventadors. That car is just, that's not a rally car. I feel like, I mean, if you rally that,
That's a
then
boss car.
that's a boss car. That car is heavy too.
Yeah. But the Rivolto is 4,500 pounds.
Really? How was that thing driving?
It's lovely.
Was it
But
very
again,
nimble?
like, no.
No.
It's not as like, I mean, but again, if you're talking about comparing it to a Super Trofeo, like a track car, like, of course not. But I mean, I definitely have tasted the V12 life experience, and I want a V12 again in my lifetime.
You got to
But-
do Aventador.
Right.
But I think the thing with the V12s, they're not I know that all the V12 like supercars,
Yeah.
they're not the best, like I would say track wise, like, you know, the smaller engines,
True.
like the
The
V10s,
V10s.
V8s, like even
Yes.
Ferrari, like say 812.
They make an
Aventador.
amazing 8. V8. Yes, I know, because I'm saying this to the camera, because everyone was like flipping out when Anthony said Ferrari V10. Everybody lost their goddamn mind.
gosh.
Yes, we all know that the F8 Tributo is a V8, and Ferrari makes these incredible V8s. I think also Lambo had to do something, and I think the way that they mastered the V10 was an answer to
It's
how.
such a shame they got rid of it.
I know, but I think it was really an answer to how Ferrari mastered the V8. Ferrari mastered the V8.
I give it
But
to
I
them
think,
for that.
but V10 is, I love V10.
I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I was saying that you were talking about like the big V12. I
Yeah.
feel like all like Ferrari and Lambo, those
Yeah.
their V12 cars, they don't handle like the smaller engine cars though.
I would agree with you.
I think because they're heavy, a little bit more clunky. You know,
Yeah. It's a lot of machine to take around a corner.
Huracan. psh.
I know. V10 all day, every day.
Are you guys getting a Terminario or no?
No. We
No?
are not in the hybrid fan base.
Really?
We just not like that whole passive door system, you know, things needing to be jumped. You know, I will say this. I was so super pumped with having a new car and being on a, you know, premiere list of it being released. I didn't like how the release went. I didn't feel really celebrated as a car owner at the time. And quite honestly, like, you know, the other downside is you're dealing with a lot of Generation 1 problems on that car. I don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah. Let's see when they come out with the let's see Revuelto SVJ version. You know,
Yeah,
maybe
I'm not doing
maybe
Gen 1 again ever.
never.
I mean, you can't and never say never, but it was not a good taste in my mouth. Not a good
Really?
taste in my mouth.
We are getting the SC though.
That's
SC?
true after I
really?
say all
How is that? I haven't. I haven't
Very
even got
powerful.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Hybrid
an
system
SUV.
makes a big
It's
difference
got
in that
more
thing.
power than
I will say
Quick.
this, and I think this is kind of like a shout out to all the supercar brands. Like, please, like to your point of how annoying it is, please find a way to make electric not annoying, because the power that the EV, the powertrain that's happening, the RPMs that are happening on EV batteries, it's insane, bro. It's revolutionary. But it's like you have this powerful thing. Oh, the battery died. Like, I can't put my windows down. I can't open my door. I have
The
to
only
jump
thing
it.
I like-
It's like the most high maintenance, crazy relationship ever.
Well, I'm so glad I haven't had these first world problems, guys. Me, I'm like, see, that's the thing with my clients. I have clients like everyone needs to buy the newest this, the newest that. I'm like, I stopped caring about these cars like after, you know.
and that's the way they're going, and that's why I don't know too much about Ferrari. I'm not a Ferrari fan.
Really? Here, I'll put you in the right ones. 458 Speciale, naturally aspirated.
Yeah.
If you want something, you want a fast one, I mean, I'll do the Pista.
Yes.
Twin turbo V8.
Yes. Yes.
812. You know what's crazy? Screw the 812, F12, 599 GTO.
It even
you know,
sounds
you
cool.
know.
If you know, you know. What about the California?
For your daughter, maybe. I'm sorry. Anyone that has a California, that is not a real Ferrari. That's entry level.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so we're
Shots
just gonna do a
fired.
little. No. As long as you feel that you will not be emotionally harmed in the airing of the super reel, Lyle, it'll be fine. Something else that you do. Not only are you mobile, you've gotten to be mobile at rallies, which is what's always like. That was one of our first phone calls that we've ever had. Was, you know, because when you rally, you really like you're hammering down your car. The bugs alone across the windshield, across the sides. The decals are great for 24 hours. And then when your rally is done, it's like the walk of shame. Like your decals are everywhere. They're peeling sometimes. And it's such a nice brand that you have, and the reputation that you have to be at the hotel, to be at the casino, ready to go, to detail and wash down these hammers that have just been through, you know, sun, rain,
Oh, yeah.
rock chips.
So, I mean, well, R2R, shout out to Rally to the Race. Now they merged with One Life.
I've heard.
So it's going to be
We'll
like
see what happens.
I think it's going to be like a Gumball 3000 type thing. They're doing Europe, USA, everything.
Dubai, they've tried out, yeah.
Yeah, everything. So I've been blessed to know the two owners, or
Rob
it was
and-
Rob, and I know Wayne had some involvement. Wayne put me in great places. Thank you, Rob and Wayne, PCNY.
Yeah, he just did his last race with them.
We travel cross country, and it's a big logistics headache. Imagine dealing with like, for instance, we went on a Miami rally. There's 100 cars, all right, and these are not regular people you're dealing with. You're dealing
are
with
not.
some of these guys down to earth. Some of these guys are
Cowboys.
arrogant cowboys. You know,
SOBs,
They're fucking
POSs, the
assholes.
whole alpha. The whole
I didn't want to
alphabet-
say it. I didn't want to say it.
I want to
That's
fucking
okay.
say it, dude.
But you know, some of these guys, I'm like,
The
listen.
whole alphabet soup there sometimes.
So I gotta deal with the casino, right? I gotta deal with Rob. It's a whole logistics thing. Gotta deal with Rob. I'm like, Rob, please make sure I have a place to get water to wash 100
Yes.
cars. Also, I gotta deal with the valet, and we need a place to do these 100 cars. And the way we have it set up, we have a whole process where everyone has to drop off their keys to me. We find a designated area, and I'm playing musical cars with my employees to get all these cars done.
that is, people don't seem to understand how nerving it is, because you have
It's a big liability too.
It's a massive amount of liability. Like even the bumping, because we're talking about like even if you touch someone's side view mirror on one of these, like whether it's a Lotus or a different Pagani or, you know, a rare Ferrari, you touch that side view mirror, you have a lawsuit of diminished value, like right then and there. Like we ran into this, you know, like having a headlight issue, anything that happens, you're dealing with the general public, you're looking at spectators, you have the pop-up guard pillars that come up and down at hotels and casinos all the time. And then of course people who think they know how to drive their car and they don't know how to drive their car. It's a lot
So you
to
cleaned 100
manage.
cars in Miami?
So we did. I'd say like 1 year we did like almost 40, and there's another guy.
Easy.
Yeah, and we don't sleep all night. So here I'll give you another example. We did their West Coast rally, 5-day rally.
Was that the Colorado to Vegas? Oh, I wanted to be on that so bad.
Amazing roads. So imagine we drove this tiny little detail van across the country, 15-hour days. Then we get there, maybe a day of rest. And then this is how
rally starts.
This is how it works. We have to go there, 2 hours, deal with the hotel, set it all up. Where we're doing the cars, blah, 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 deal with valet. Then they're not allowed to touch cars. We're moving 20 supercars. Like I said, big liability. We're washing cars all night long from sun up to sun up.
Yeah.
Or sun down to sun up.
I follow.
12 hours straight.
I follow.
12 hours. And then guess what? Then we maybe get 2 hours of sleep, shower, try to get some sleep. Then we gotta drive another 6 hours, 7 hours to the next location. And we're going state to state to state, 5 nights in a row, no sleep. And me and my one guy, we're rotating. Like you drive for 2 hours, sleep.
You just you and him?
For that West Coast one, because I'm like, I can't bring a whole team. Can't afford the team. I was like, me and my one boy.
Because you can only upscale the price of that detailing so much, because then they're gonna like, well, why do I need to pay you more? It's mobile detail, So talk to me a little bit about. I mean, you've had to do this so quickly from 16 years old to 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You've had to learn the good, bad, and the ugly of human behavior, even just in terms of scaling your small business. So just talk to me a little bit about how it's been growing up super fast. Talk about supercars. Growing up super fast, dealing with people, the ins and outs of scaling, hiring people, all that
so
stuff.
It's really difficult starting at a young age. So I started this business at 16. Father made the LLC for me. Shout out to you, Dad. When I turned 18, that's when you could legally own a business. So we transferred it in my name. At 18 years old, that's when I graduated high school, out into the real world. People don't take you serious at a young age. It's something very difficult.
And it's something that you're just gonna have. It's just gonna keep evolving.
People try to take advantage of you. People try to run you over. I have clients try to rich, powerful guys like, oh, well, you're lucky to be detailing my cars. I want a discount. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. I don't care who you are. I don't care. You think I'm a young kid. I'm not stupid. It's a shame. I tell them I look up to be like you, and you would think because I'm a young kid, you would want to support me.
That's not necessarily the fault.
You got the money.
As you got the money, you want to be a cheap fuck,
You want to be a cheap bastard, okay? You spend fucking $300,000 on a car. You can spend a few $100s on a detail.
I've always said this: manners doesn't cost anything.
So I have blacklisted clients. People.
Good for you.
There's some people that I've noticed in the detailing world. People die to have my clients. People do their cars for free. People, suck up to these people. I mean, I'm not that way. I'm not gonna say his name, but
you can't.
I'll tell you a douchebag story. I had a guy. Had all these Lambos, crazy mansion, big name. And then I come down, I stopped, I met him. He gives me, here's my personal assistant's phone number. Okay, cool. I come to his house early morning, has me wait out there 35 minutes. I'm like, time's money, come on. Comes down his Versace robe with a fat cigar, screaming to his he has a personal assistant, screaming, where's my effing cigar cutter? And he's like, treating him like his personal bit,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong with this guy? Yeah. And then he comes
Not
over
to say that I've never lost it on Billy before, but go ahead.
But he comes to me. He's like, oh, you see all this? I built all this. You're lucky we doing my cars. You're lucky I let you detail my cars. And his collection is worth 1.5 million, maybe 2. I have a client that has 40 cars. I'd say 11 out of those cars are worth 2 to 3 million each. And I'm like, after that, I did his cars for like half a year. I was like, with all due respect, you're blacklisted from MalDog. He would treat me and my guys like crap.
Can't let that happen.
He'd also pay late. Like I would wait a week for my money, and I have bills. I'm a small business owner. I have bills to pay, insurances, supplies, my employees. It's like, I rely on this money. And I'm like, rich people, like some of them, they're like, oh, well, I'm rich. You'll get it eventually. And I told him, like, what? Get out of here.
It's so funny. I mean, it happens. Wow. It happens to all of us. And first of all, I love Wayne as well from PCNY. So Wayne was one of those guys where I was led to him from somebody else who said, oh, if you want to get into cars, you need to find this guy. And this world of Instagram and bots and all this stuff. I reach out to him when I had 8 followers as Shari Schwick. 8 followers. And this dude answered my messages.
Yeah. Wayne's a great
And I
guy.
have never forgotten it. And one day maybe he'll be on here, but that's all to say. Even this guy, okay, who's, he has the list of lists. He is the list. That's why he is who he is,
He
right?
put me. He half my. I would say good quarter of my clientele is because of him.
He's in Miami. He goes live on Instagram. And you know how he has the place by the marina.
Mm-hmm.
And he's watching a former client that he has blacklisted land their helicopter on their yacht and hasn't paid him for what he did for them.
It's insane.
It's insane, bro.
And
So like the level of respect, you know.
Give me my money, man. I'm coming to your house, man.
Yeah, Uncle Billy.
Coming to your house while you're sleeping.
Uncle Billy's going home with his cheeseburger.
I'm going home with my cheeseburger and my motherfucking cash, man.
I've had clients like that. I blacklist them from the community. I mean, I'm in a group chat full of 400.
There was someone just the other day getting really nasty. I want to say it was with Morelli on that infamous V10 Ferrari Super Real. Or, yeah, it was definitely with Morelli. And without giving him too much attention, he used the Supercar's superiority in his handle. And I basically said in public, I said, you watch your fucking mouth of who you are fucking talking to, meaning being my friend for Anthony. I said, if you think you're going to use the word supercar and get built up in this community, I said, you have another thing coming. And he tried to bait me again and tried to bait me again. And I said, you weren't raised right. I said, get the fuck off of my page.
Some of these people, it's like, everyone just chill out. Just be respectful.
It.
No matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, what things you have, you're not better than anybody else. At the end of the day,
Absolutely not.
we can't take this stuff to our grave. We're all going to die.
We can't.
We all,
Listen, if you're worried about what people think and are going to say, I told Sharon the other day, right? I don't check any of that stuff.
No.
Oh, me, it feels like fire.
I don't even watch my fucking reels half of the time. You know
Good
why?
thing he doesn't check the comments.
Because you know what? I don't give a fuck what they think. The more you watch, the better off we are. Okay?
Yeah.
Because we want to do something good. What
You
we're
guys
doing.
already have haters on this.
100%.
Well, you
So-
guys are doing it right then.
I know.
So when I'm
right?
I
trying
can't
to-
wait to see the hate comments if I offended anyone.
So
You call Anthony,
you
this
know
is
what?
over.
Let them do what they gotta do. The reason why you are where you are is because you just said it.
Yeah.
You get in your van, you drive across the states, okay? You don't sleep, and you focus on one thing, okay? Being successful. But the real people that are in your life that actually care about you are the ones who pay on time, who stand by your side, and they treat you with respect. When they start disrespecting you, and they take away that, that integrity and everything from you, and I'm like, no, they're not worth it. The guy with the cigar, he's gonna be a jackass his whole life. He's been a jackass since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's gonna die alone. You are creating a legacy, okay,
Yeah.
for your children one day, for your family one day, your wife to be, whatever it is. Keep working hard and focus on that. Don't worry about what the other people think, the other details, whatever. You focus on being better than what they're doing and working harder than them. If you consistently work harder than them, 7 days a week. You want to know what the guy I work with last night said to me? He goes, Bill, I watched your podcast. He goes, you're working 7 days a week, 18 hours a
It's
day?
a true story.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that.
He texted me last night and he goes, and I said, what's going on with my stuff, my business? And he goes, this is Sunday, it's Easter. I said, yeah, well, I worked 12 hours today on Easter. And I got yelled at 4 times.
So get to the punchline. So then what did he do?
So he sends me a text and he goes, you know what? I just jumped out of bed, bro. I went to the office to do your stuff. You
And
know
our
why?
stuff got done.
He goes, you want to know why? I saw your podcast. You work 18-hour day, 7 days a week. At 57 years old, I'm not letting no 57-year-old outwork me.
Right.
I
I saw that the other night. I was like, damn, I gotta work harder.
Well, let's
I've been working. There's days I like
But you got to work smarter, too.
work smart
Working
and hard.
smarter.
There's days I work like 40-hour days.
Of course, and not to sound like we're like patronizing you, but like I find this really fascinating. So like Billy and I are obviously in the middle part of our life, right? Where we definitely appreciate being looked up to. We've had a different type of life experience. We have a different grind, right? So one or two things I like to tell people is they want to be like, oh, how do you and Billy balance it all? I go, there's no balance. It's more like a pendulum swing where it'll swing to one extreme, good or bad. It'll kind of calm down and kind of get ready, and then you got to be ready to take the opportunity and then swing into the next part of the pendulum and like trying to figure out. Have you experienced any of this?
I've experienced that. You know, people tell me all the time is like work-life balance.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Especially, you know, if you want the life that I dream of and I aspire to get, I mean, I already see the progress. It's happening already. It's I tell everyone I sacrifice, you know, my 20s or like I tell her I'm only 23. Sacrifice 5 years of you know hard work to have a lifetime of freedom, financial freedom. That's the goal at the end of the day. And like you said, I want kids one day. I want them to have the life. You know, a lot of
that when you get that time with your kids, sorry to cut you off, but like when you're getting in front of it now, like where we didn't have, like for instance, our slow grind to this way. So like when you have the opportunity, whether it's into your 30s or 40s, whatever it's going to be for you, when you're having your kids and having that experience, now it's like daddy's not away.
I want to be there with my family, you know? And people think I'm very materialistic. Listen, I love cars. I like nice shit. You know, I think there's such a taboo on liking nice shit. And people think I'm materialistic. And I'm like, listen, if I could have everything taken away tomorrow. The reason why I want to make a lot of money is not just for the cars, the lifestyle, the house. It's the freedom. Waking up.
Freedom.
You know, it's freedom.
Not
doing whatever you want.
Ever again.
And then
I saw your thing, not being hungry ever again. Amazing story. And I'm like, you know, I've watched my family, you know, they've had ups and downs financially.
Of course.
And it breaks
it's not
my
to
heart.
discount any of that type of hard work either.
yeah.
That's not what we're talking
How
about.
about when you go to a restaurant and you used to check the check all the time, right? That was
Still
us.
check the check.
I still check the check.
I ain't checking it no more.
Paul Newman checked
I
the
don't
check till
check.
the day he died.
That's Paul fucking
the
Newman.
check.
Check the
I'm
check.
working
Check
on
the
the
check.
Maine. I'm letting you know right now. I'm not working no more. I'm going on a fucking boat in Miami.
boy.
and,
See, that's what I want. You know, everyone wants the same thing.
I'm not working anymore, okay? Bryce will come to Miami, okay?
I think that is probably one of the bigger things that changes the entrepreneur from like someone who's just thinking is, I'm going to grab a couple of buckets and soap and I'm going to make $2 million a year, right? It's not understanding that being like this is to be able to buy whatever you're into, whether it's the Versace or the Chanel or even the Lambo, but to understand what true freedom is so that, you know, when you're having a client come to you, and I'm glad that you're already doing this and you're feeling a certain level of disrespect coming your way, you're not afraid of it.
Oh yeah, you know, everyone thinks because like I'm some young person or I'm not as wealthy as them, they think they can step over me. I was like, I don't care who you are, and you know,
Yeah.
this is
and
the way
it always changes.
I'm a very I have a powerful like attitude, and I'm like, nah.
No,
I'm like, you think you're a big baller, so you know, you don't know who
Yes.
I'm gonna be in 10 years, buddy. So you better watch your
Exactly.
freaking mouth.
There's something that Samuel L. Jackson said. So Samuel L. Jackson also had like a late start to his acting career, right? So he's getting called into these movies. He's like extras. He's got small roles, this and that, whatever. And there's a story that he has about one particular movie set. There's a poster on the wall and it says, "Be careful the toes you step on today. It might be the ass you kiss tomorrow." And now fast forward, he's deep into his 60s and he's still getting big jobs. He has former interns who are now the PAs, who are now the PGAs, who are the assistant directors of not. And they go, "Sir, we wanted to hire you because of how you treated me when I was an intern or how you treated me when I was on craft services." And it's just trying to get that frame of mind, you know, which is why we wanted to have someone like yourself, you know, an entrepreneur, like starting from 16 to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who's going to be the next Elon Musk. You know, that's why I say, or the next Jeff Bezos. You know,
The
like
next Jay Leno, the
whoever.
next-
You never know, and it's like, you know, I treat everyone with respect. I never look, you know,
There's no reason to.
yeah. I would say this, like growing up, I was obsessed about being rich and stuff. I would talk to
course.
people, like regular people, and they'd be like, "Oh, I hate rich people. Or I can never." I'm like, "Why do you hate on someone, you know, driving that Ferrari?"
Sure.
You know, instead of saying, "Oh, must be nice," instead of saying "must be nice," say, "How can I?"
Ask a
you know?
question.
You
Ask a
know?
question.
And it's like, you know, people hate that guy. Like, "Oh, he's a lucky bastard in a Ferrari. Look at him." I'm like, you know what? That's inspiring. I wanna meet that guy. People hate
Yes.
like I've seen it. Like some guy hated because I post my Lambo too much, and I'm like, you know what? You post your Lambo, that inspired me. People hate rich people. I aspire to become like them. I'm like, why would you hate that guy? People hate all these billionaires. Oh, they know these tag loopholes. I'm like, why are you hating on that? Why don't I want to do that loophole too?
There is no room
You
for
know?
jealousy in success.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happens? They only admire and see what you have. They don't admire and see and know the facts of where you came from and how hard you worked to get there. That's what they should have the admiration for, the hard work and discipline and tenacity that took you to get where you are today. They don't know about that. They don't know about that.
No, people
They
don't
only
know.
see what your car and your driveway, when they come here, yeah, we want to do your roof for you, 20 grand. 20 grand for
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Power wash my fucking roof? Are you stupid? Okay? Even in Florida, they try to do the same thing. Get off my
They
property,
see what you
man.
have, and then
Get
they
outta
try
here.
to
Yeah.
Take a walk through it
take
right now.
advantage of you
Oh, yeah.
afterwards. So I was just actually having this conversation with my nephew yesterday, who's 16, like yourself. And without giving it away, he's not in the car culture world, but he's found something that's working for him.
Really?
He's got a, I don't want to use the word hustle because it's totally legit, but like when you were talking about like how you had an LLC and then when you turned 18, like it's so funny because I just had this conversation with him yesterday. I said, listen, man, I said, we got to get you an LLC and then blah, blah, blah. But that's all to say, because he came to me and he goes, yeah, Sharon. He goes, I want to buy a Mustang. And I go, don't you dare. Not because of Mustang.
Really?
And I said, don't you dare. And this is not to anyone who's bought a car. I said, you are putting that money into a high yield savings account or CD or something. And I said, and then we're going to buy you an income producing asset. You're going to buy property. And he goes, I don't want to buy a condo, Aunt Sharon. I said, I don't want you buying a car. And I said, do you not know what me and Uncle Billy did? I said, before we bought our first BMW, we owned 2 houses. And then before we owned our Lambos, we owned at least 4 properties. And like, it's just this mentality of like what you were saying of like, oh, I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to buy a Chanel bag. No. Oh, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to go buy those pair of sneakers. No. You have to sacrifice and live without to have this bigger vision. So you talked about it a little bit. Like, how were you able to manifest that at 16 years old, realizing you have a bigger vision and then just kind of blocking out the noise? Like, how did you think you were able to do that?
So, I mean, like I said, I saw that guy Brian Solomon on Instagram. I saw the lifestyle.
It really takes one person.
And then I start following, every rich person with the lifestyle and stuff. I'm like, do I have to wait till I'm like 30 or 40 or 50, or like, do I have to wait till I'm like really old to have this, or like,
No.
like, can I just have this in my 20s? I want to be young in a Lamborghini, right? I don't want to be some old guy worked my whole life. Now I'm in my 70s, 60s,
and
whatever.
still being told what to do by somebody else.
No, screw that. I was like, I want to be ahead of the game. I started my business in high school. I wasn't going to college. A lot of parents looked down on me. In high school, all my teachers looked down on me.
Because that's what they understand.
And that's what they understand. And I don't blame them, but they're like, oh, you're not going to college? I'm like, this is how it's going to work. All right. By the time your kid comes out of college, he's going to be looking for jobs. By that time, I'm going to be providing jobs. And look, what's crazy? I used to get made fun of in high school. People are like, they don't know what detailing is. They're like, what are you going to do? Wash cars for a living? As soon as I graduated, I made my first 6 figures. I don't come from a rich family. 6 figures at 18.
Sick.
That's a lot of freaking dough. And you know what's crazy? The kid that made fun of me and bullied me, I bought a Maserati when I was 18. I don't spend your money when you make it, save it. But I didn't come from any money. So
Yes.
the second I got it, I was like, I could
understand.
buy a Maserati. So I did that. And that kid that was hating on me, he's like, oh, you're going to do this after high school? He thought it was stupid. Pulled up to Popeyes. He's at the drive-thru window. I'm in my brand new freaking Maserati.
He was working the drive-thru at Popeyes.
He's like, and then bro, this is your car. I'm like, weren't you making fun of me? And it's one of those situations like, put the fries in the bag, bro. Like, And I was like, I remembered. I had a friend with me. I was like, yo, that kid used to talk so much crap about. I used to talk about my dreams in school, and kids would think it's stupid. And I'm like, well, now you're broke. We're done with school now. Now you're broke, and I have money. I'm making as much as some adults at that time don't even make as much as I did.
I think it comes down to a lack of integrity and a lack of vision. Like, listen, all credit to people who are going through school and finding, working on their craft.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Nothing wrong with work because you have a vision. So if you're working on your craft and you approach it with integrity
but don't
and vision,
hate on someone that's trying to
100%.
do stuff.
I can't tell you more than once, and I mean not even in a hostile kind of way, where even in the car community, like we have people very close to us where they're in the media side of things, and they dropped out of school, and now their brother who finished their degree is now back working for them. No harm, no foul, like nothing angry is happening, but just like in the sense of you need integrity, you need grit, and you need vision, whether you're going to take your degree and go for it, or you just can't, you're going to end up at
I'm going to say this, cut you off, but
No, please
I
cut me
learned
off.
this, right? It's not about what you do in life. It's about how you do it. All right. You could go to school. You don't have to go to school. People, my mentor who taught me how to detail cars, people didn't there's money in this business. I think you had another guy that detailed cars in here.
Yes, we have a couple people.
My mentor, the guy who taught me, the guy's a multi-millionaire. He has supercars. He has the whole life, whatever. He's financially free. He's a millionaire. And, in my client base, it's cool. I got to see all types of backgrounds of people. I mean, I met a guy that hauls dirt, or I have a client that, I'm like, how do you have all this money? How are you a millionaire? How have all these cars? I'm like, what do you do for work? He's like, I sell pizza. Like, it's not about, you could do the craziest thing or the most simplest thing. It's just about how you do it. Like you said, work hard and work smart,
We do something here, Lyle, called going full throttle, which is where we give you a bunch of like fast Q&A types of things. But before we do that, I really want to thank you for coming in. So, and it kind of goes to this whole spirit of encouraging one another. And we had this at least I thought it was a really nice phone call. It was almost a month ago.
Almost a month ago or so.
And so like what we try to do here at Behind the Wheels is bring in entrepreneurs like yourself and talk about your path to small business, the pitfalls, the ups and the downs, right? That pendulum swing of everything, the love of cars, obviously, which we'll get into, I think, during Full Throttle. But you called me, and you are officially our first guest of Who Called Me to come on the show. And I want to thank you for that. That is a huge milestone for me. And that phone call and that request coming to me was a huge encouragement to me. So I want to say thank you for that.
Of course. Well, you guys are both killing it. And you told me something earlier. I believe in supporting, beginning people. You guys aren't crazy yet, but you're about to get there. You already have haters.
We got a tiger by the tail, we think. Yeah, we got a tiger by the tail.
I see this, really getting like highly up there.
All the way up.
All the way up, baby.
Yeah. But and to that too, you said something to me. I think I've brought it to the team here at Q29. I've definitely said it in my personal conversations. I've said it to family members who don't even understand what we're doing here. Like you said, like when you are succeeding, you're also going to have people who are very close to you who do not understand you and have why is she doing this? Why is she people say to my husband all the time, why did you buy more? Why do you need another car? We don't daily drive these things, but that's besides the point. Just that limited understanding of like, why are you doing this is always coming down on me, on my shoulders. So that's all to say, you and I are having this conversation on the phone and you thanked me. And I came out of the clear blue sky for me. You said, Sharon, you said you are the one of very few people who is actually reaching back for us, who's reaching back for the small entrepreneur and inviting us along on your ride. I got goosebumps now and I was like ready to cry because I had never thought of it that way. Because like you were telling me, like, in the understandably, no hate on this, but like, podcast culture, you have a lot of pressure. Who's viral? Who's popular right now? Who's a mini celebrity? Who's this?
That's all you gotta do.
And you were like, you are not forgetting the conversation of the rest of us. I forget exactly the words you used, but I cannot tell you how meaningful that is to me. And I'm like, yeah, I am gonna reach back for the rest of us. Like you said, we have a story too, Sharon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Here it's coming back to you. You said, we all have stories too, Sharon, and you are calling me to ask me how my story is, and I want to talk to you about what my story is like, and I want to tell my story. And I was like, my eyes were like, what?
So we have a YouTube thing. I'm starting out.
This is a perfect segue.
So it's called, it's in development.
It's okay.
Called MalDog Millions. Long story short is, people will swipe up on my social media and say, what do these people do for a living? The cars and stuff get attention. People aspire to have nice things. And you know what? Talking to my clients, it's like, I hear all these stories and it doesn't matter how big, how small, everyone has a story, like, in their life. And I'm like what you guys are doing, and you guys taking small guys like me. And I have a lot to put out there. You know, people watch podcasts or watch documentaries about people that are already up there, but
Who
it's
are
like,
already up there.
but I'm like, well, I'm not there yet, but I want to tell my story too. And I love what you guys are doing. We all have our own stories.
And to see it while it's happening.
While it's happening, you know, people get interviewed once they make it. People
How
don't
did you
get
do
interviewed
it?
on.
How did you do it? Well, if you watch Behind the Wheels, maybe
You're seeing
would
it
see
now.
all
I'm
these
not there
entrepreneurs.
yet, but you've seen it. I'm in that. I'm on the
Well,
way.
The other thing is, if you're going to grow in a business and the people help you get there, the problem with some of these businesses is that some of these people get popular and famous and they cut loose the people to help them get there.
Yeah,
And that's the
That's
saddest
very
part of
true.
this business. So the people who help you got there and the changes that are made during that process, those are the ones you keep. That's your family. Okay? You know, like the movie Fast and the Furious with their family. Even though it's fictional, okay? But it has truth behind it. The people who help you got that success are the ones, without them, you wouldn't have got that.
right.
So keep them and treat them as family. Help them grow with you and make them rich too. If you're going to be rich and be happy,
Let's
then
climb
you got
together.
to give it back.
Of course. You guys are part of that family now.
Oh, thank you.
Both of
And
you.
you're a part of ours in that regard. It was Michelle Obama who was explaining, because, you know, like sometimes there's like these ugly metaphors of like, you know, you got to cut people loose or you got to shake this off of you and you got to just, but she gave the metaphor of like a mountain, like an Everest, so to speak. And what does every mountain climber tell you about the air as you get higher and higher up the
Gets
mountain?
thinner.
The air gets thinner and thinner. And so you're coming with a great big crowd of mountaineers or climbers, and you all start climbing together. And there has to be some kind of peace of mind that the mountaineer knows at some point part of the team is going to stop on the mountain because they have not trained or they don't have the physical capacity, no fault of their own, to be able to handle the thin air that is up there. And you can love them and they will stay on that side of the mountain where they can live. And some of them are going to fall because they're assholes. Okay? But like, as long as you keep climbing and understanding that it's not this betrayal all the time. Sometimes it is, but it's not a betrayal all the time where like some people, like us having to change media teams. It wasn't an ugly, horrible divorce, but it was like, this is where that mountain climb stopped for that particular partner. Now this media team is climbing and is getting a little bit thinner in the air with us too. And so as long as we just keep respecting and understanding that we're all climbing without having to necessarily let go of each other.
I don't think you ever have to like completely, you know, let go of someone. You just
They do the
separate.
letting go.
You know, you do not even that. I have like friends that, you know, I used to grow with and they stopped growing and I'm still
You just
growing.
keep going.
But the thing is, you know, I never like, oh, I'm not talking to you again. It's like, you know, I acknowledge them. I say keep your distance, you know, if they're bad or whatever.
I'm not coming back down so that you can thrive more. I'm still going. I understand why you're there, but I'm not going to just keep coming back down the mountain because you miss me.
Yeah, it's like I used to hang out with you every Friday, but you know what? Now I see you every other month, you know?
And we pick up where we left off.
Yeah, that's how it is, you know?
That is exactly how it is.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how meaningful that conversation was.
I wish
And
I
how-
recorded it. You can recreate it.
I know.
But
I'm giving honor to it here, and like it's been more than half of a dozen times that conversation has come up, and like even when I'm feeling discouraged about how exhausted I am, or like, you know, being excited that we are, you know, scheduled out to June, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Am I crazy? Am I delusional? Thinking like that, you know, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make Uncle Billy a star. Like, am I delusional? And I'm like, it took so much pressure off of me to be a star because I was like, if my whole purpose of doing the podcast is just to keep making space for everybody else, I will do it until I can't breathe anymore.
You guys just plan on doing podcasts, or you guys doing like vlogs or stuff in your future?
I mean, when we can. We're kind of old, Lyle. So
Well, that seems like
Listen, I don't know what
we
you
need,
guys
we need
you
a
guys are
video
young pups.
We gotta pay for a
I'm
videographer to
57
live with
young,
us.
bro.
Is basically
my
what we're
dad's
saying.
70. He would call you young pups.
That's fine. No, I mean I would love to vlog full time. So that is definitely one of the
You know,
dreams.
you guys are very entertaining on this table. I can imagine on the
thank
road
you.
with the cars and
Well,
stuff.
I'm getting ready to do that when I travel to Florida. Bryce is going to break me in
See,
with that.
I feel
It's
you
a-
gotta do
Helmet
both. You know, if you
These
do a
guys are gonna
podcast,
break
you got a
me in.
vlog.
It's
you
a
know?
Schwick show.
Take
It
the
is
GoPro with the stick.
Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube, right? Podcasts I watch, but like, you know how I would find their podcasts from the crazy vlogs of them ripping the cars and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we plan on doing that.
You
We
should.
do.
You
We
know,
are.
I'll
We
tell you
gotta
this.
up the budget.
You guys share.
We got off the budget.
That's why we need to be monetized. Please click like, follow, and subscribe. Comment to this video.
Heck yeah.
Please save it and share.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
Hate, subscribe, do whatever you want, baby.
Spotify, YouTube,
we all want you to
Instagram,
keep following
TikTok.
us. We accept
dang.
all your comments.
Oh my gosh, you ready to go full throttle, friend?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. You just answered the way you feel it. There is no right or wrong answer. However, we cannot promise that you will not be emotionally harmed on the
Oh
line.
boy.
I can't wait till you talk to Morelli about this. All right. So, in the world of buying cars, would you prefer new or pre-certified?
Depends on the car.
Yes,
Now it depends, you know, like Porsches, you can't go wrong with new ones, you know, but like, you know, I feel like certain, like, you know, Lambos pre-certified, we totally talked about this
Finding
earlier.
an SVJ, finding a
I
Diablo.
buy a SVG pre-certified, but I'm not buying brand new Revuelto, you know. It depends on the brand, I feel like, you know.
Yeah, you are a big Lambo guy. What Lambos are your favorite?
Well, obviously, number one, and I saw Morelli said the same thing, SV Roadster. That's my holy grail dream car. More limited, 500 Roadsters, 600 coupes. SVJs have 800 Roadsters, 900 coupes. They drive more raw.
Okay.
The SVJ and Ultimate, they have the four-wheel steering. I feel like the SV is more raw. Also, OEM stock, it's louder, sounds better. I like the position. It's just
I feel like
cleaner.
He's like going through like a whole bunch of full throttle questions. All
Yeah,
at once.
but that's my number one, and
Yeah.
second Lambo Huracan Perf. That's the best Huracan. I've driven all the Huracans.
We have very good friends with a
Performante.
Performante Spider.
STO sick. I like the all-wheel drive. You know.
Yes.
I feel like it's the best driving Huracan all around.
Yeah, they're wicked awesome.
You know, I drove. I don't like the rear-wheel drive ones too much.
You were saying that, yes.
You know, Lamborghini perfected the rear-wheel drive once they came out the Evo rear-wheel drive, and then another the Technica STO. I have similar friends. We drive on these rides. I've driven many 580-2s. At 160, that car is kind of scary, you know? It's not stable. And I talked to all their owners. I'm like, yo, you drove your 580-2 at like 150, 160? Like, yeah, that car's not stable.
Well, that was my issue with driving the Porsche GT3 RS. After
Really?
I crossed 110, I started losing. I had so much downforce that I was losing traction,
Really?
and I was like, I mean, granted,
Well,
I
I
probably
guess
was.
because it's
I
a
probably
track
wasn't
car.
in the
It's
right
a track
modes,
car. That's a track
but
car.
still, I was like, this isn't
Well, I only
fun.
got it because they said I couldn't get it.
That's
Ah,
true. I'll show
I
them.
would too.
Yeah, that was a big boss
Came up
move.
to us and they said, "Who do you know?" I
And
said,
then they said
I
to
know
us,
that guy.
Then they said to us, so first of all, it was you'll never be able to buy that car.
Yeah,
so we
okay.
got it, and we
'Cause you
never
don't own any Porsches.
and we never owned a Porsche before. And then the second thing they said to us, you'll never be able to sell it for what you want. And I went, and we
Yeah.
did.
You probably made good money. I hope
did
so.
alright.
Did I? That's what they all say.
When you're driving these supercars, do you prefer to be on paddles or stick shift?
I would say.
Be honest.
So personally, supercars, not say there's a
Yes.
difference. Supercars, not sports cars.
Yeah, that's
Supercars,
right.
supercars. You know, I would say paddles. When you're driving on a rally, I like to rally drive. You know, I want to. You know, even the track,
think about-
it's
yeah.
right there. And then also the supercars, they perform. You know, they shift
They're
up so
meant
fast.
to
You don't
shift
have
fast.
time to. You
To
can't
clutch.
Yeah, supercars prefer paddles all the way. Now I can't knock down, you know, gated shifters like Ferrari F430 Scud, or not Scud. It was a 430 gated
And it's an
Murcielago.
emotional response.
I got to experience Murcielago LP640 gated.
Come on.
Sick car, so sick. The car is worth crazy money now.
Was that from the '80s, right?
No, it's late 2000s. It's like the final Murcielago LP640.
Okay.
That's insane,
Yeah.
bro. So let me ask you a very infamous question that's not on my list here.
Uh-oh.
That could get you in a lot of trouble, but it's okay. You're going to answer it the way you want to.
Oh boy.
Is the Corvette a supercar, or especially from 2020 and younger, is the Corvette a supercar or a sports car?
Sports car.
Wow. Okay.
So the new, you know, me and my buddy were talking about this the other day, like the new Z06, or the British say the Z06. Supercar. No, it's like, is a GTR a supercar? Everyone. I mean, the rallies I go on, they're like, it's not a supercar, not
This
exotic.
isn't my full throttle.
You know, it's crazy. I don't see it as a supercar, but maybe it is nowadays. I'm like, I don't think it's a supercar, but it's like, oh, well, a supercar performance. I feel like maybe I'm getting supercar and exotic car mixed up. I
don't think you're getting it mixed up. I think you're answering honestly.
I think supercar, I don't know. It's like, I'm gonna get a lot.
It's a lot for people to think that Corvette can be on the same level as a Lotus or a
And
Pagani
the ZR1 is
or even a
changing that.
Huracan. It's a lot to ask.
They're coming out with 1,100 horsepower.
Well, you know what's crazy? I feel like, let me relay this into is it GT4 RS hypercar? Because you know what's crazy?
Right.
Porsche, the GT4 RS,
That's a good
I
question.
think was beating the track time of a 918 back then, and they had to detune the car because it was coming close. And you know, guys are spending $1 million on a 918 hypercar Porsche. They're gonna get upset at a GT4. So it's like, you know, I feel like, oh well, the GT4 is faster on the track than a 918. But it's not a hypercar, you know what I'm saying? I feel like supercars has a million things. It's not just about power and all that. It has to do with rarity, you know, what makes it exotic.
I'm going to go off script here and break my own rules. Because you're a great person to ask this question to. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your impression of the different owner brand cultures? Like Porsche people, Lambo people, McLaren people.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this.
Tell the dirty laundry, Lyle.
Okay,
Let's go.
So, you know what? I'm a Lamborghini guy.
Yep.
But in my business, right, I detail them. I get excited based on the type of cars. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of bad experience with Lamborghini owners. I'm a Lamborghini guy. Listen, I'm going to say this. Ferrari guys, Porsche guys have real money. Or,
Yes.
you know, like the Lambo guys, I'm sorry, Lamborghini, I love you. But
you would know them as people.
So
Yes.
you know, it's Huracan owners. You guys have 2 Huracans, but
we have 3 Huracans.
we have
but
3
that's okay.
Huracans. But you know what it is? These Huracan guys. You know what it is? It's a lot of fake it till you make it people. I've dealt with people that unfortunately it's Lamborghini people.
Yes.
They have Huracans and Urises, and I know how much your lease payment is, buddy, or I know how much you finance that car for. I detail cars. I could go finance a Huracan 610-4. It's only a $200,000 car.
Well, two disclaimers. Everything on Schwick Wheels is paid in full. Number 2.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you guys, but what I've experienced with Lambo guys, like they're
No.
cheap.
There's a difference between a Lambo owner who has 3 to 5 cars, but no, there's a Lambo owner that'll have 1 Huracan, and the way they behave, I absolutely agree with
they
you.
think they're
the
like
way
king
they
of the hill.
behave out in the wild with their Huracan is a little crazy.
It's like Aventador guys have money, right? Obviously, you're spending, you know, $500,000 plus on a car. But you know what's crazy? They're the cheapest guys I've ever dealt with too. You know what's crazy?
Because they finance the Huracan.
I don't know. I was like, you know, it's a shame. I love it. They have my dream car, but these guys are so cheap. Ferrari guys, I don't get Ferrari guys. You know, I get it, but I don't. These guys,
I'm not into the car.
They play the game with the brand. And I love the cars, but I don't like how the brand works. It's like you have to buy XYZ to get this, you know? And they also sue you too if you do certain things.
That's the whole reason why, as a company, we've backed away from that whole culture. Is just the unapproachable with the customer.
We'll never buy one.
Yeah.
But what I have had problems with car culture and car clubs. The Ferrari clubs do rub me the wrong way because they leave car show. They leave charity. I'm sorry, guys, but I mean, I'm sure there's great clubs out there, but I've been time and time again. It's the Ferrari clubs that leave the charity car shows early.
Yeah, they're also
They just do.
So you know, this is
And it's really offensive.
It's not hating any specific owners, but you know, we'll go off like you said the brands. Ferrari guys are a little bit more douchier, more posh. You know, they're Porsche guys. Porsche best car. You know,
Yes.
they're the real driving enthusiasts.
Yes,
you know,
yes, they are, and they know everything about that headlight,
everything
to
yeah.
the wheel lock, to the steering,
Porsche people
to
drive.
the stitching, to the color, to the film that's on their car.
They all track, you know.
They know everything about
They
that
talk
car.
crap on every other brand. McLaren guys, you know, they just think they're the fastest thing on the road. I mean, those cars are really fast, but you know, I tell them it's fast when it works.
But they're very persnickety, and they don't actually club together. So, but anyways, but we
Feel like-
also own a McLaren. All right, we got to move on. Do you prefer a custom paint or a custom wrap?
Paint.
Nice. Do you like the metallic flakes or do you like a matte?
I like metallic as
Yeah.
a detail. It also I like
yeah.
the car that pops too.
Me too.
I like that sparkle.
I gotcha. 2-door or 4-door?
2-door.
In the other world, Chevy or Mopar? Yeah.
Chevy.
Nice. TRX or Raptor?
TRX.
Nice. Coupe or Spider?
Spider. Roadster, even better. It's the same
100%.
thing, but I've ended a Roadster.
100%. You prefer an M series or an import tuner?
M series.
Yes, sir. Competition.
Mm-hmm. All the way, baby.
Do you prefer a twin turbo or a supercharger?
Twin turbo.
I thought so. That was pretty easy, especially if you're thinking Roadster. I think I know this one too. You'll see what I was talking about in a second. OEM plus or aftermarket?
Aftermarket.
Really? Even after that other conversation?
You know, it's crazy. Like aftermarket, I feel like you gotta change the exhaust
yes,
on everything.
you gotta go to
These-
FI. You gotta go Argentani or something.
You got a SVJ Gentani all the way, baby.
Yeah, spit and flames.
You know, some of these guys are scared to modify their cars. I'm like, yo, just do the exhaust at least. You know, these new cars, they sound quiet.
My
They
most
sound real
favorite thing
quiet.
on anything American Muscle or Mopar is putting that Borla on.
Really?
It is my most favorite sound ever. We have Borla on the Hellcat and we have Borla on a Camaro, and it's both amazing sensation.
Oh yeah, I've heard those. Wait, what do you have on the Huracans though? Are they stock? Soul
Stock.
Performance.
So when we had our first Evo rear wheel drive, I always mispronounce this. We put an FI exhaust.
Really? You
Yeah,
should look
it was
into
beautiful.
Soul.
Like SEOL
No, you don't
or
SOUL.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends. I mean, that's my personal preference.
For the Huracans.
Heard a lot for the Huracans.
Okay.
Aventadors, Gentani,
Of course.
or there's one called the Star Dropper Japanese exhaust.
Okay.
Crazy high pitch.
Interesting. Do you prefer a GTR or a Hellcat? I
GTR.
thought so. This is becoming obsolete now. Do you like German engineering or Italian?
Well,
There's almost no more Italian engine.
I was gonna say, I was like, the Italian's kind of German at this
Everything
point.
is owned by Volkswagen. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it should ask that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you come up with your own-
I was like, half the cars.
Okay, well, you come up with your own full throttle questions then, Billy.
They own them.
Then come up with a full throttle question.
I like
then.
the Italian cars, but you know, the German engineering, nothing. German just beats everything.
How about you prefer European or American?
Oh, we already know the answer to that. I'm a Euro guy.
Yeah.
I
Want
love.
to try again, Captain Obvious?
By the way, I
not
prefer
so
naturally
easy, is it?
aspirated over anything.
Naturally aspirated over anything.
You know, it's great. You know,
Yes.
it's like how fast, like all these supercharged turbos. You go, you know, the cars are fast, but like I don't know. Like I'd take a 458 and straight pipe V8 and a V12. That's
yes,
it.
bro. Yes.
Yeah. Once Ferrari started doing like their like the 48, that car, you need exhaust on it. Back then the Ferraris sound perfect with stock, like Lambos, Porsches too.
Right. Well, it wouldn't be behind the wheels if we didn't put you behind something today, Lyle. You want to try that modified TRX out there?
Sure.
All right, let's go right.
Wait, can we do a Lambo? Can
We
do a
could
Lambo?
we could probably do a Lambo. What's on the bottom? Oh, we got to move a couple things. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll move. I'll move
They
it
didn't
over.
take it?
Huh? They didn't come today and take it. So, Lyle, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you so
I hope
much.
this was your first podcast
I
experience.
know.
How'd you do? How do you feel?
I feel like I did all right. You know,
Feel you did all right?
you just talking the mic, tell your story.
Talking to your friends?
And if you have a story and that's worth sharing, come behind the wheels.
Yay! That was a
Subscribe.
nice call out. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming behind the wheels with us. I'm Shari Schwick. That was Uncle Billy. That was Lyle of MalDog Detailing. You're going to be finding him on, say that channel again?
MalDog Detailing on YouTube and on Instagram, Lyle_MalDog, MalDog Detailing. You already know.
What's going on with MalDog Millions?
It's we have to film some episodes.
Got it,
we have some pre-releases.
Okay,
but stay tuned for that. That'll be on the main YouTube channel.
Some stuff coming on deck. Thank you for going behind the wheels at Schwick Wheels. We'll see you on the road.
Bye.
Your official driving shoes?
When you drive any Lambo, always make sure she's a Corsa. So ready? I'll watch the dash change.
Oh, God.
But boom. That's how you drive a Lambo. Feels like another day in the office at MalDog. That's what we do.
We saved a gopher.
Yeah,
A gopher jumped out in front of us, and Lyle handled it just fine. That was crazy, bro.
Yeah, she was low. She's like, at first I was like, I'm gonna get on it. She's like, go for it. She's like a little nervous, but then she realized, I'm like, I've driven like hundreds of these, right?
Like Ron with the armadillo.
Yeah.
I thought we killed a gopher. And I looked at the side view mirror. I was like, he was just walking around. I was like, okay. I was expecting like blowing chunks underneath the car. I was like, oh, frick.
That was the first time something's ever jumped in me in one of these cars.
Well, it's a Schwick show for a reason. So I'm not a passenger princess. I can't handle being in the
I don't
car.
blame her. I get passenger anxiety. But thank you to Schwick Wheels. You guys are the best. I mean, I'm like, I've driven 100 of these, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say no to a free Huracan drive. But subscribe to them, subscribe, and check us out. Lyle_MalDog and MalDog Detailing on Instagram. You already know.
Yes, buddies. High five.
Heck yeah.
Yes.
Thank you
thanks for
so
coming in.
much.